Tommy, listen to me. He is the contractor. He's the contractor, okay? I can't lose this job. I understand. Let's talk about this in the morning, okay? We'll talk about it in the morning.
There are only a few things that I would ever describe as perfect for me. I can think of maybe one or two albums, a few movies, but no video games. Many of my favorite video games have an annoying section or boss or bad acting or anything that slightly lowers it from being perfect. That is except one. A game so powerful it changed the way I thought about video games. A game so well made that I'm constantly thinking about it, even though it is 8 years old. That game is The Last of Us Part 1. The second part I also thoroughly enjoyed, but that game's incredibly divisive and something I'll get into another day. Instead, I want to focus on why this game is perfect in my eyes and the impact it had on me. There will be spoilers in this video, and if you haven't played it, don't watch, unless you never intend on playing it, but be warned, this game is better experienced without any prior knowledge. It's only like 12 hours. Go play it, and then get back to me. The game opens on a darkened house. The main character, Joel, is on the phone with some apparent work struggles, and right from the beginning you can tell that Joel is a single father that is probably struggling financially. But his great relationship with his daughter, Sarah, propels him to keep working hard in order to provide. Side detail, Sarah gives him a watch for his birthday here. Remember that. It doesn't go into their backstory. The game just displays a heartfelt scene to show the two characters' relationship before everything changes. A few hours later, Sarah wakes up and is looking for her dad, who isn't in the house. After searching for a little bit, you find him being attacked by the neighbors, and a zombie outbreak has officially begun. And I'd like to say that, in general, zombies aren't really my thing. The whole genre is stale to me. I like some games, a few movies here and there, but I never really got into the craze that so many flock to. But this game really rose above my previous notion. I only say that because if you're like me and zombies aren't really your thing, it's still worth giving this game a chance. I think it really rises above the genre. Anyways, after a few minutes, the few characters introduced, Joel, Sarah, and Joel's brother Tommy, are off, trying to escape the city. It's hectic, there are people panicking, there are car wrecks, but the interesting thing about this part is you're forced to play as Sarah, the helpless child. While you play as Sarah, you feel vulnerable to the events outside, and I think it's a really interesting design choice. But then, tragedy strikes. While near the outside of city limits, this happens.
We've just been through hell. Okay, we just need... Shit. Please don't. Oh no. Sarah?
The game doesn't fade to black or pan away. It makes you watch as Joel holds his daughter, telling her it's going to be okay. But it won't.
You're going to be okay, baby. Stay with me. I want to pick you up. I know, baby. I know it hurts. Come on, baby. Please. I know, baby. I know.
20 years have passed and Joel is a hardened killer, smuggler, and crook. He's adapted to the new world and thrived alongside his companion Tess. Just noting that this game is divided up in a unique way. Each season is a section of the game, and following the prologue, summer starts. Summer is by far the longest part of the game and does a great job at setting up the rest. Anyways, back to the story. The government is all but destroyed, and there are ration stations but no food to give out. Things look pretty bleak for the world, but Joel is doing fine. 20 years is a lot of time, and it's striking to see the difference between the loving father that you saw moments ago and the cold, much older Joel. When Joel and Tess stumble across a wounded Firefly, Marlene, which is the terrorist group mentioned in the intro, she tasks you with smuggling a package outside the city. The package turns out to be a 14-year-old girl named Ellie. You aren't sure why you have to transport her or why she's important, but you agreed to help Marlene out. As you get further and further out, there are more and more guards patrolling the area, and everything is going smooth until you get caught. And surprise, surprise, Ellie comes up positive on the zombie detector thing. She yells that she's immune to the fungus and doesn't know why, but Joel and Tess are unconvinced. They questionably don't kill her and just continue on. It isn't until they reach their destination that the situation changes just a bit.
I'm not going anywhere. This is my last stop.
What?
Our luck had to run out sooner or later.
You going on?
No, don't! Don't touch me.
Holy shit. She's infected.
The fireflies in the area are all dead, and you leave Tess to die. It's only Joel and Ellie now. Joel has nothing to go back to, so he decides to bring Ellie farther than expected in Tess's memory. He decides to bring her across the country. They run into a few people along the way. First, Bill, a crazy old friend of Joel who acts like he trusts nobody and cares about nothing. There are also many bandit and zombie encounters, as most of the land is forgotten and unowned. The most interesting encounter, however, is with Sam and Henry, two brothers whose dynamic in a lot of ways is similar to Joel and Ellie. You travel with them for a while and get to know their story. They were in a group of survivors, all heading for the same radio tower, but got separated. With no other real option, you join them on their way. The dialogue in this game is awesome. They do a great job of slowly building up Ellie and Joel's relationship as they start to trust each other, but it's refreshing to get some new lively characters aside from the main cast. But it doesn't end well. At the end of a zombie attack, Sam is bitten and this follows. I'm just gonna let the scene play out.
Ellie, stay there. Henry?
What have you done?
I'm gonna get that gun from you, okay? Oh, okay, easy.
It's your fault.
This is nobody's fault, Henry.
It's all your fault.
Henry! Henry, no!
Oh my god.
Fall starts out a lot like summer. Ellie and Joel are not vibrant anymore. They're quiet, and every subject seems touchy. Sam and Henry's death really took a toll on them. As their relationship mirrored Sam and Henry's, it showed them just how fragile their own situation is. But towards the beginning of fall, you arrive at Tommy's, and it's surprising to see that they have a well-established civilization set up. This part of the game is definitely the most hopeful, and it's the closest society ever gets back to being normal. Once Ellie learns of Joel's plan to let Tommy take her the rest of the way, she feels abandoned and takes off on a stolen horse. Joel and Tommy chase after her to an old ranch. It's hard to explain the reaction I had to this next part, but in my opinion, it's one of the best acted and written scenes ever made across the entertainment medium. I'm just gonna let it play out again.
Everyone I have cared for has either died or left me. Everyone fucking except for you. So don't tell me that I would be safer with someone else, because the truth is I would just be more scared.
You're right. You're not my daughter. And I sure as hell ain't your dad.
It shows that despite their adventures so far, Joel is still clinging on to the past. He's afraid of losing another, just like he lost Sarah, just like he lost Sam and Henry, just like he lost Tess. The scene is heart-wrenching, but just like the conversation sticks with you, it sticks with Joel, and he eventually decides to continue on the journey. For the first time in the game, he actually listens and respects Ellie. When they get to their destination, there are no fireflies. Their experiments went awry and many fled. Following this, you are attacked by bandits and Joel is severely injured as the game transitions into winter. The opening shot shows Ellie hunting by herself. And that begs the question, is Joel alive? Did he make it? What's more is that the playable character is now Ellie, so for the time being, I was really concerned during my initial playthrough. Following an encounter with some strange men, Ellie makes it clear that she needs medical supplies, letting the player subtly know that Joel is alive, just not active right now. Ellie has learned to survive and flees the scene when she learns that these strange men belong to the same group of bandits that you saw back at the lab, the same ones Joel massacred, the same ones Joel was injured fighting against. They then hunt Ellie down and take her prisoner, where they are shown to be cannibals, of course. Can this game get any more bleak? The leader of this group, David, is voiced by Nolan North, and he does a great job of sounding oddly comforting from the beginning, yet creepy once you learn the truth about him. You want to trust him, but He's shown to be completely crazy. It all ends in a blaze with Ellie escaping a boss fight with David and Joel running in at the last minute to save Ellie as she was overtaken by revenge for a moment. The game doesn't tell you what they're saying in this section. It doesn't matter. All that you know is that in the final section, Spring, Ellie is a fraction of her former self. She isn't lively, exciting, and optimistic like she has been for the whole game. She seems distant, and for the first time, Joel is trying to cheer her up, as opposed to the other way around. That is until you come across giraffes roaming a once urban city, transformed by years of vacancy. This small yet powerful moment serves as a point for the characters to have a moment and take in a small amount of beauty that's come from the whole situation. It also serves as a point for the player to ease up, and it lets you stay here for as long as you want. It's kind of a nice touch. In the final act of the game, they make it to the Fireflies' base, where it's determined that to make the cure, Ellie will need to die. The fungus grows around the brain, and they need a sample of it. No more information is given to the player or Joel, but Joel can't bear the thought of basically losing another daughter and goes on one final massacre, saving Ellie, killing Marlene, and lying to Ellie about what happened. It is important to note that many of the enemies resemble the same armored soldiers in the beginning of the game that killed Sarah. The entire situation reminds Joel of her, and he takes the inhumane, evil way out instead of the moral way out. What's more is that Joel tells Ellie that the Fireflies had given up on finding a cure. He doesn't have the strength to tell her that he was too selfish to let her make her own decision and made an awful one for her. In the final scene, as they journey back to Tommy's safe haven, this happens.
Long time with surviving. And you, no matter what, you keep finding something to fight for. Now, I know that's not what you want to hear right now.
Swear to me. Swear to me that everything that you've said about the Fireflies is true.
I swear.
Okay.
The credits roll, and it left me speechless. Also take note of how he is still wearing the same watch Sarah gave him before he lied to Ellie. He grabs at the watch. It's a painful experience, but one I couldn't stop thinking about. It's a simple story, but one I was so attached to. Why? Well, first off, the acting in this game is better than any other game I've ever played and most movies, so it already has that going for it. But most importantly, the writing for this game is masterful. Each line of dialogue gets you closer to the characters, or it gets the characters closer together. Each relationship feels real and earned. Nothing feels forced. The combat in this game is grounded and exciting, with zombie encounters and human encounters both being incredibly unique. But what really makes this game perfect is how good the dynamic between Ellie and Joel is. They slowly start to understand each other and care for each other. It's a small spark of happiness in an otherwise bleak world. The game isn't happy, yet they are. However, Joel's decision at the end ruins that, which makes the game even more heart-wrenching. I think what really makes this game perfect for me is the impact it had on me. The Last of Us was the game that really made me fall in love with video games, and if it weren't for The Last of Us, I wouldn't be making these videos, and I may not even be playing video games. The story left me wanting more and desperately trying to find other games that gave me that, but I've never been able to. Sometimes I come back and replay The Last of Us, and it holds up every time. While the gameplay can get repetitive, the game leaves an impact on you that isn't replicated in any other experience. To me, it truly deserves to be called perfect. Thanks for watching.